I asked my boyfriend for a job. He said I was not good enough. So I made a scene in front of both families, destroyed his car, and ended up being sued for $25,000. I ended up ruining my own life. Before we go on, make sure to subscribe to the channel and let us know in the comments which city you're watching from. My ex-boyfriend just sued me for $25,000. Yes, $25,000 for malicious property damage, according to his lawyer. And it wasn't for destroying a house, stealing from him, or getting with someone else. It was for keying his classic car, the one he was restoring as if it were a work of art, after an argument in which he told me I wasn't good enough to work at his company. This all started because I asked him for a job, a chance, a coffee shop. I'm 25 years old, a recent business administration graduate, and when I graduated I felt it was my moment, that everything I studied for had to start paying off, that my partner, the man I'd been with for 5 years, was going to be there to give me that first push. Spoiler, it didn't happen that way. He's 29. He didn't go to college, but he did well. An entrepreneur from a young age. He opened his first coffee shop at 21. Today, he has 4 branches in strategic areas of the city. He has employees, suppliers who call him by his first name, even his own coffee brand. I always admired him for that. I was there from the beginning. I saw him stay up all night over spreadsheets. I saw him invest every penny. I helped him review menus, prepare campaigns, get furniture. I never asked him for anything. Never. And now that I could finally be useful, for real, he slammed the door in my face. He didn't even let me finish my sentence. No, he told me. There's no place for you in my coffee shops. We've already talked about this. He said it with that boss voice he uses when he's deciding if a barista passes their probation period. And yes, we had already talked about it, or at least he'd hinted at it 2 years ago, when he left me in charge of a branch and things didn't go well. According to him, I ruined it, and I'm not going to lie, I made mistakes. I hired a friend who stole from me, I neglected orders, I launched a promotion without checking the costs. Yes, we lost money, but I was 23 with 0 experience. What did he expect? For me to act like an expert. I thought we were past that with my degree in hand things would be different, that I had learned, grown, but no, his answer was blunt. It's not personal. It's just that I don't trust you as a manager. That's what he told me. And that's where it all began. At first I cried. I got frustrated, I questioned myself, then I talked to my friends. They told me he was selfish, that I'd been by his side from day one, that if anyone deserved to be in his company, it was me. One even said, if he were truly your partner, he'd be looking for ways to help you grow, not excuses to keep you away. And then the idea came up. I wasn't going to fight, I wasn't going to yell. I was going to show him he was wrong, that I was an opportunity, not a risk. And if he didn't want to listen to me alone, then he'd have to do it in front of others, because if love isn't enough to open a door, sometimes you have to force a window. And I was willing to push. I cooked him his favorite dish, not because I thought his stomach would win over his judgment, but because I needed him to lower his guard. Homemade lasagna, garlic bread with basil butter, and a glass of red wine. I put on soft music. I dressed up like for a date and lit candles. Not for romance, for strategy. My friends had told me, don't confront him. Seduce him. Make him see you're not asking for a favor, you're offering value. That's what I did. It wasn't an ambush, it was a professional, firm, direct proposal. When he arrived, he looked at me strangely. What are we celebrating? He asked. Nothing yet. But maybe something soon. I smiled at him. We ate in silence for a few minutes. He seemed relaxed. He talked about the new coffee bean supplier, about a customer upset over an order with no foam, about his expansion plans. I listened. I nodded. I waited for my moment, and when his plate was almost empty, I dropped it on him. I want to help you. For real, not as your girlfriend, but as someone who can contribute. I studied for this. I have ideas. We can try in one of the branches, even the smallest one. Give me a month. Just one. He didn't answer right away. He put his fork down on the plate, picked up his glass, swirled it a bit. I can't, he said. Just like that, with that surgical coldness. Why not? I asked, already with a lump in my throat. Because I've been through this before. I don't need to repeat it. And again, he went back to the subject from 2 years ago when he left me in charge of the Plaza Sur coffee shop, when the 2-4-1 promotion blew through the inventory and the staff quit because of the scheduling chaos. When an employee left crying saying I had yelled at her, I denied it then, and I deny it now. I just spoke loudly. He told me that marked him, that it was the moment he understood he shouldn't mix love with business, that it was a lesson. Now you have a diploma. He told me. But you can't buy experience, and what it costs me to build, I'm not going to risk for affection. And our thing doesn't count as experience. I asked him, haven't you seen everything I've done for you? Doesn't it count how I stayed up late with you, how I helped you set up the third branch? It counts as a partner, not as a resume. I bit my tongue to keep from yelling. I told him I loved him, that I understood his fear, that I wasn't asking for total control, that we could start with something small, a specific area, that he should let me prove I'd changed. He offered me accounting. Assistant behind the counter. That's what you think I'm worth. After everything, it's what I can offer you without compromising everything else. And if I weren't your girlfriend, would you offer it to me anyway? If you weren't my girlfriend, you probably wouldn't even be on the list. Silence. And in that moment I realized he didn't see me as a partner, he saw me as a problem with a degree. The dinner ended coldly. I went to bed with my lips pressed tight, biting my tongue until it almost bled. The next morning, he acted like nothing had happened. He wished me a good day, offered me coffee. And I, from my wounded pride, answered him with a poisoned smile. Because I wasn't going to give up, because if I couldn't convince him at home, I would do it in front of everyone. That weekend, we had a family lunch with my parents and his mother, and there in front of those who did believe in me, I was going to put my cards on the table. I made him look like the bad guy in front of everyone. It wasn't planned that way, at least not consciously. I just wanted him to listen, for him to not have a ready excuse for once in his life, for him to not be able to change the subject with a "this isn't the time," and keep talking about coffee blends. But yes, I admit I used the setting. Sunday, lunch at his parents' house. My parents were there too. Long table, floral tablecloth, white wine, and baked chicken. Pleasant conversations, laughter, the kind of atmosphere where everyone's happy to see you until you speak. Well, I wanted to talk about just that. I said after his mother asked how my job search was going. He looked up from his plate, frowning. Right now. I don't want to keep postponing this. We've already talked about it, but I wanted to know if you'd thought it over. My father smiled as if encouraging me. Thought what over? His mother asked. And there I said it with a clear voice and a steady gaze, that I want to manage one of his coffee shops. Put what I studied into practice, prove that I can. The silence was immediate. My boyfriend put down his silverware. He looked at me with a mix of discomfort and contained fury. This isn't the time, he said, but his tone was no longer casual. It was a warning. Why not? My mother asked. If everyone's here, it's better you can support each other as a couple. It's not that simple, he replied. Of course it is, my father said. Nobody's saying to give her full control, but at least a chance. Isn't that what a couple does? And that's when I saw that expression on his face that I only knew in extreme moments. A mix of betrayal, of I can't believe you're doing this in front of everyone. You want to know why I won't do it? He said, putting his glass down with a thud. Because I already did it. 2 years ago. I left her in charge of a branch for a week, and in 7 days she left it in ruins. Losses, staff that quit, furious customers, and a ridiculous promotion that almost bankrupted me. My mother looked at him as if he'd just spit on the table. She was a kid, she tried to smooth things over. You can't judge someone who's just starting out the same way. She wasn't a kid, he replied. She was an adult. Just like now, with strong opinions and zero willingness to listen to advice. I felt the air turn to lead. So, you're going to judge me for who I was 2 years ago? I said, can't you see I've changed? I see you're now exposing me in front of your family because you didn't get what you wanted. I'm trying to get you to see me, to trust me. You don't need trust, you need control, and you want it at any cost. That's when the atmosphere broke. My father tried to intervene, his mother too. Everyone was talking at the same time. My mother said it was unfair. My father asked him if he'd rather see his partner unemployed than give her a second chance. And he looked only at me. The most I can offer you is accounting. And that's only if you're willing to start from scratch without drama. It was like he spat in my face. Accounting. After 5 years by your side, after giving you everything, I didn't ask you for anything and now you're forcing me in front of everyone to give you something you don't deserve. That word deserve pierced me. And do you deserve what you have? Do you really think you did it alone? Yes, he answered me. Because when I failed, I didn't blame anyone. When I lost, I was the one who paid. I never brought my family to convince someone to hire me. The table froze, and he stood up without looking at anyone else. Excuse me, but I'm not going to continue participating in this. He locked himself in the back room. The food was left served untouched. Nobody dared to touch it. I sat there trembling. I knew I had pushed him, but I didn't think he'd explode like that. And still, I didn't feel guilty. I just felt I had forced him to take off his mask. He didn't want a partner, he wanted a shadow cheering from the sidelines. And if I had to talk to his mother again, or mine, or whoever, I would do it because I deserve a chance to. His mother came to speak for me, and although I swear it wasn't my idea, I'm not going to deny that when I saw her appear with that bag of homemade bread and a face of "I'll fix this," I felt relief, not for what she might achieve, but because I was no longer the only one who saw the injustice. He and I had gone days without speaking more than necessary. We slept in the same bed like two poorly fitting pieces. The silence weighed more than any scream. I hoped he would reconsider, that he would at least talk, but all he did was shut himself in. Until one night, I heard him arguing on the phone with his mother. "It's none of your business, Mom. I told you not to get involved. Do you know what it cost me to build all this? And now I have to give her a coffee shop so I don't look like the bad guy." That last sentence made my blood boil. 3 days later, his mother appeared at the door. "Is he here?" she asked me as if she hadn't known him her whole life. I nodded. I let her in. She went straight to the back without even taking off her coat. "We need to talk," she told him. Seeing her, he sighed as if he had guessed exactly why she was there. "Seriously, Mom, you too?" "I didn't come to fight," she told him. "I came to understand why you're throwing away a 5-year relationship over one damn mistake from the past. It's not a mistake, it's an accumulation of impositions, of emotional blackmail." "Blackmail?" I interjected, unable to hold back. "You think it's blackmail to ask you to trust me? It's not what you ask. It's how you do it. Pressuring me in front of your family. Now bringing mine." "I didn't bring her, but you sure are taking advantage of it." His mother tried to calm him down. "Son, you can't close all the doors. Give her something. The bare minimum. She's studied. She understands what happened before. Don't you see it? What I see is that this is suffocating me, that the three of you are cornering me as if I were a villain, and I'm not. Then act like someone who loves, help, trust. And if she messes up again, who pays? You." Silence. "You know what?" he said to his mother, "if you're going to take her side, then leave and don't call me. I don't want to hear from you." I froze. His mother too. "Are you kicking me out?" she asked, trembling. "Yes, because you can't come to my house to tell me how to run my company or my relationship." She left without another word. Not a tear. Just disappointment in her eyes. And then he looked at me. "Was this your idea?" he asked me. "No, but I'm glad she did it because you don't value me or her." He said it without raising his voice. Cold, deadly. "Because of how you're acting, you won't even get the accounting job anymore. I'm not going to help you with anything. Not a paper, not a spreadsheet. It's over." And he left. And then something inside me broke. Not a crack, a collapse, as if everything I had held in for years suddenly crumbled. I went out to the porch. There was the car, his pride, his most cherished project, a classic Japanese model he'd been restoring piece by piece for months. Every Saturday, he cleaned it with microfiber cloths. He didn't let anyone touch it without gloves, and there it was, shining like a mockery. I didn't think, I didn't reason. I went to the garden, grabbed a rock. I keyed the side as if it were my name. I ripped off the rearview mirror. I kicked the door with all my fury, and without knowing why, I opened the trunk. There, inside a cardboard box, I found something I didn't recognize at first. Photos, letters, an old t-shirt, and an urn. It was his brother's. I stood paralyzed. He had once told me that his older brother had died in an accident, that they had restored a car just like that one together, that this was his tribute, his way of keeping him close. And I had just destroyed it. My legs trembled. I sat on the stairs. The rock was still in my hand. There was blood on my knuckles. I didn't know if it was mine or from the car. I wanted to fix it. I wanted to turn back time, but there was nothing I could do until I heard him open the door. "What did you do?" he said in a voice I had never heard before. Not anger or pain. It was a broken, empty voice, and when his eyes fell on the open box in the trunk, I knew I had lost everything. But not even in my worst scenarios did I imagine that a lawsuit would be next. That day, when I saw him standing in front of the car, with the box open and his eyes fixed on his brother's ashes, I thought he was going to yell at me, that he was going to insult me, that he was going to throw something on the ground. But no, he did none of that. He just stood still, breathing as if trying not to faint. "What did you do?" he repeated. And I, in my stupidity, still tried to justify myself. "It was your fault. You cornered me. You provoked this. I provoked you to destroy the only memory I have of my brother." I didn't know what to answer, and then he said the phrase that would change everything. "This is the last straw. Pack your things and get out." Not anymore. Wait. It was a mistake, a bad moment. No, not anymore. I'm sick of you, of your attacks, of your drama, of your games. I want you out. You're going to kick me out over a damn car? It wasn't the car, he yelled. It was his ashes. It was his t-shirt, his letter, his damn smell. And you destroyed it all on a whim. I don't remember when he started dialing on his phone. I just heard him tell my parents to come get me, that if not he'd call the police. I screamed, I begged, I knelt in the doorway. I grabbed his hands. I cried like a child, and he didn't look at me even one more time. When my parents arrived, he already had all my things packed. Not a note, not a word, just boxes. My parents didn't know what to say. My mother was trying to hold back tears. My father, who had always been my defender, looked at me as if he didn't recognize the daughter he raised. We left in silence. I thought he'd get over it, that with time he would understand, that we'd talk, that we'd heal. But what arrived 4 days later wasn't a message or an apology. It was a certified letter, a lawsuit for $25,000 in property damages, with photos, with invoices, with appraisals of parts, with a copy of WhatsApp messages where he detailed what the trunk contained. All prepared, all ready, as if he had been waiting for this. I panicked. I called his number blocked. I called his mother. "I'm sorry, but this time I can't intervene," she told me. "Not after what you did." My father, upon reading the papers, said nothing. He just got up, called him. "What does this mean?" He didn't hesitate. "It means exactly what you read. She owes me that money. I want her to pay me all of it, and I have nothing more to say to you." And he hung up. I went to court. I had to testify to show I didn't have the resources to pay. I cried, I humiliated myself, and the judge was clear. The destruction of property with emotional and economic value has no mitigating factors. The verdict was final. My father, with empty eyes, told me, "I'll pay it. But this is going to cost you. Not just the money. You're going to get up early every day. You're going to work. You're going to pay me back every cent, and you're going to do it in silence." I felt shame, rage, suffocation. I thought I couldn't fall any lower until I found out the worst. A friend texted me on WhatsApp. "I submitted your resume at my company. They told me they already knew you." What? You were the girl who bankrupted a coffee shop and destroyed her boss's car out of spite. My boss. That's how he talked about me now. My name was already tarnished, and there I knew. He didn't just want me out of his life. He wanted to ruin me. I was no longer an ex. I was an obstacle to be eliminated. And while everyone was saying you must have done something for him to act like that, I kept repeating to myself. And he did nothing wrong. He never crossed a line, but nobody questioned him because he had coffee shops and I only had my version of the events. Now everyone thinks I'm the crazy one who bankrupted a coffee shop, the one who ruined a car, The one who broke up a relationship for not knowing how to take no for an answer. But nobody asks what he did for me. 5 years. 5. Of being by his side, of supporting him without asking for anything, of sleeping in chairs while he installed espresso machines, of selling brownies at events so he could pay the deposit for the location, of listening to his ideas, even the worst ones, and telling him, you can do it. And when I finally asked for something, just one thing, he denied me. He denied me as if I had never been there, as if I hadn't been a witness or an accomplice to everything he built. It's my business. I did it alone. Your place is in accounting, if anything. Those were his answers. I just wanted to be a part. And now not only am I out of his life, I'm out of the professional world. My name is blacklisted. They told me my case circulated as an example of what happens when you mix professional with emotional, that they used my story in an HR talk. Imagine that, becoming a cautionary tale. But what nobody knows is how we got there, that he denied me an opportunity as if I were a burden, that he exposed me as the girl who failed, without mentioning that he left me alone with a new team, without manuals, without guidance, that he blamed me for a week in which he himself disappeared. That was enough to erase me, to make me pay $25,000 for an emotional mistake. And what about his? What about the silent damage he did to me for years? Of making me feel like an extra in his success? Of never including me in important decisions, even though I was there giving everything. Nobody sues for that, nobody penalizes that. That just kills you on the inside, and then they call you unstable. And the worst part is that the story he tells is more believable because he has coffee shops, because he has ties and contracts and a car that shines brighter than I do. Because I cried, I screamed, I broke things. Because I reacted. And that, apparently, is more unforgivable than erasing someone in silence. And you know what? I'm not going to pretend I'm okay. I'm not going to say, I learned a lesson, because I didn't. Because I still think he was a selfish person, that he couldn't stand me growing enough to ask for what I deserved, that he preferred to destroy me rather than accept that a hurt woman can be right. And if tomorrow someone reads this and thinks she's the villain of her own story, maybe. But at least I told mine. He'll have coffee shops, he'll have customers, he'll have a reputation, but I have this open wound, this keyboard, and a message for whoever needs it. Someone explained to me how asking for help from the person you love turns you into a threat. Someone tell me how loving became so dangerous. Because if this was love, then yes, I'd rather pay the price of his pride than keep paying for mine. Comment 1. Wow, what an innovative way to ask for a job, ruining businesses, humiliating your partner in public, and destroying family memories. Do you have a course for that, or do you give it for free on TikTok? Comment 2. So your plan was I don't get control of a coffee shop, so I'll destroy a car with the dead brother's ashes. Brilliant. A future CEO for sure. Comment 3. Incredible how you managed to turn a work conversation into a trial, a funeral, and a demolition. All in a single relationship. Efficiency above all. Comment 4. You didn't want an opportunity. You wanted the business wrapped in a bow with a little card that said, "Congratulations for existing?" Comment 5. Normal people update their resume. You updated your criminal record. Guerrilla marketing, I guess. Comment 6. Do you realize you went from I want to work to I keyed the car with the deceased's ashes? Faster than a poorly planned promotion. Comment 7. No wonder you bankrupted the coffee shop. You couldn't even handle a conversation. How are you going to handle a business? Comment 8. They say love is blind, but you put on a blindfold, sunglasses, and drove into a tunnel at full speed. Comment 9. I didn't know demanding trust included fits of rage and vandalism. It must be in the fine print of the Emotional Management Handbook. Comment 10. You were denied an imaginary promotion and reacted like a soap opera villain. The only thing missing was you pushing someone down the stairs.